welcome to week 9 of the Lap Down podcast. As always, I am your host, Greg Farmer, and with me tonight is Jamie, Will,
What's up?
Ben, and we have a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Tino.
How we doing, folks?
Before we get into formal introductions, again, special shout out to Mr. Will for writing our intro song. And the Alkali Project is doing amazing things out there, so be sure to check them out on Spotify and iTunes. I believe they have a Patreon as well. And check out their latest album, The Blood World, whenever you get the chance. But Mr. Tino, welcome into the Lap Down. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you guys for having me, man. Appreciate you guys.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. So where are you from?
I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. A little bit farther from Charleston, South Carolina, but I tell everybody Charleston because nobody knows the little town of Somerville, South Carolina.
I know the town of Somerville, South Carolina. I've been through there. I'm not too far down the road from you. I'm down over here in Northwest Georgia, man.
Okay, yeah. My grandpa lives down there in near Vidalia, so I love Georgia. This South area. So I love that area.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into NASCAR, man?
All started with my dad. He was a big Jeff Gordon fan, and he used to work at the racetrack, Darlington, Rockingham, Charlotte, and he'd take me any chance he could, and I'd just walk through the gate, and he knew the guy. He knew the security, like the head of security, Micah Haley at the time. And I'd just sit by my dad and watch the race in areas, nobody else could. And that's pretty much where it all started, was right there sitting by my dad, watching him work. That was it, man. That's how it all started, man. I became a fan.
Who's your favorite driver growing up, and who's your current favorite driver?
Favorite driver growing up, Jeff Gordon, watching him race. I've never seen him win a race in person, unfortunately, but I've seen him come close a couple times. And my current driver, Chase Elliott, man, gotta love him, It all started 2014 when he was racing in the Xfinity Series at Darlington. I was sitting in the front row with my buddies, pretty much smash drunk. I ain't gonna lie to you. And and Chase Elliott came from 6th to 1st in the green white checker to win it. And that's when I said, you know what, this is the guy I'm gonna watch. Then he took over the 24 car, and then big fan of Chase Elliott, man, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I was when I got into NASCAR. My favorite driver growing up was Dale Jr. And my first race that I ever watched was the 04 Daytona 500 where he won. And I was just like, I'm going to follow this guy right here. And he was my guy all the way until he retired. And now I'm an Alex Bowman fan. Well,
oh yeah.
Welcome in. It's going to be a great show. How's everyone else doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Will just gave a thumbs up. Gentlemen, we had Atlanta this past weekend, and let me tell you what a race that was on Sunday. I was there in person, and I have to say that was probably one of the most incredible races that I have witnessed in person. And I've been to many races from Bristol to Charlotte to Daytona to Talladega, New Hampshire. And that one pretty much took the cake, man. We talked about it in last week's show about handling possibly becoming an issue as the track aged. And it definitely showed on Sunday. Guys were losing it by themselves. Keselowski lost it a couple times. I think Buescher lost it. But I mean, there were a few instances where some drivers had help. I mean, obviously they had the big one on lap 2. That began with a stack-up effect. Apparently, Todd Gilliland just decided to check up in the middle of the trial to let his teammate come up, and it caused a massive stack up that took out or damaged at least 16 cars, which they said on record is the biggest crash in Atlanta Motor Speedway history. And going over some notes from the weekend, the Cup race, there were 5 cars in the Cup Series race on Sunday that were not involved in an incident out of 37 cars that entered. So 32 were involved in some sort of incident. But I mean, the racing product on Sunday was absolutely incredible. They were 4 wide at one point. Austin Cindric made a bonsai move going into turn 1, took him 4 wide to take the lead, and then they were still 4 wide for a good lap and a half or so. But what everyone's talking about right now is the finish of the race on Sunday. They
Yeah,
had
man.
a late race caution, and they took restart with about 5 laps to go, and Daniel Suarez was the control car, but Ryan Blaney quickly got the lead back, and he led up until the white flag. And going down the backstretch, him and Suarez were side by side for the lead, and then Kyle Busch decided to shoot the middle. And from the backstretch through turns 3 and 4 and to the start finish line, they were 3 wide. And that's how they crossed the finish line, and it ended up being Daniel Suarez by a matter of about 2 inches or 3/1000ths of a second, which I believe they said is the 3rd closest finish in NASCAR history. So starting with Jamie, how do we feel after Sunday and that incredible race?
Well, I mean, if you don't like that, if you don't like the action that's on the track, if you don't like just some really good drivers doing their thing and staying safe to the best of their ability, but still running inches from each other, then that's not NASCAR's not for you. I'm just going to say it that way. However, I don't know if this style would work at every track. It's one of those things where if every track was like this, then it kind of takes the specialness of what they've built in Atlanta away. Now, I think with how Atlanta is configured and the asphalt deteriorating, I don't know that they can keep this up with this level of competition that they had, because the track just continues to deteriorate at a quicker pace than they expected, which was a product of what we saw early on in the race. I think it was like 2 laps in was when you had the big one happen, and it's just that like all morning and everything like that, the driver said that this is not a fun track for drivers. It's fun for the fans. It's fun for us to just sit back and watch the action happen, but it's not fun for the drivers. So, but overall, I enjoyed the race as a fan. I popped on our good friend Ryan's YouTube page, and we were kind of giving live reactions to the race as we were watching it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, but there are some questions we have, but I'll save that for later discussion.
Well, yeah, I don't think that this needs to be for every mile-and-a-half track. Dale Jr. went on record and said that this is an anomaly. Like, this is like a unique situation that Atlanta's in. He went on record on his podcast yesterday and said that Marcus Smith had a choice. Either dig it up and repave it to bring fans back, or shut it down completely because Atlanta was dying. It was on its deathbed. And to make light on one of the points that you just said about drivers saying that it wasn't fun and stuff, there were drivers after the race who were even involved in crashes who said that they had a blast out there. Like they said that was the most fun they had on a racetrack in a long time. Even Kyle Larson, who super speedway is not his forte. It seems to be like the crash always seems to find him at a super speedway. But Daniel Suarez called in to the Dale Jr. download yesterday, and he hit it spot on. He said that this is not Atlanta's not a super speedway, but it's not a mile and a half either anymore. It's a hybrid of the two, and he said that's what makes it so special.
Yeah,
So
and I also want to chime in. Like, it's I think we're in a great era for NASCAR. A great era when it comes to the drivers that they have got on the track. You don't they're like yes, people can use tier systems and things like that, but very rarely now do we have like that guy who's just going to be out there that we know is going to get in the way and potentially just wreak havoc because he doesn't know how to handle the car.
yeah,
So I think what we saw at Atlanta is not to the extent. So don't get me wrong. Not every race is going to have 3 wide finishes or anything like that. But what we saw at Atlanta with the new builds of the cars, with the level of competition that we have amongst the different drivers, I think we're in for a great season. I think we're in for a very competitive season, unlike years past.
I agree. Will, what are your thoughts on Sunday's race?
Thought it was fun. I actually got to watch it with my grandmother, and she kept asking me, "Where's that Wallace guy?" The whole race. That was fun. Uh, got to watch Bubba up there fighting in the top 5, but not in the top 5 to get his lap back. That was fun.
I
Fight
would
with
say
Ross there
I was gonna
when he decided
say
to.
he was a lap down most of the race.
Yeah, and he was racing through the field. If he wasn't a lap down at that point in the race, he would have been like 6th. And then Ross decided to punt Chase out of the way, and that got Bubba his lap back. So thanks, Ross. Sorry, Chase. Uh,
And you
Yeah,
definitely couldn't miss that money line car.
no, that's my big theory. Is as I'm sitting there watching the race on TV, and I've got the stream of his in car or hood cam, whatever it's called. As I've got that on my phone, I can see how the lights beam off of that bright blue car. Every wreck from halfway forward happened like right beside Bubba. He wasn't the he. You could argue he maybe got loose and caused Josh Berry to crash, but that's skill issue on Josh Berry's part. Uh, I think that bright blue car just blinded people to the point that they just drove into each other. I think that's what caused most of those issues. So, but I'm very happy with the result. Good for Daniel. He needed that. Every single video I saw talking about silly season for 2024 and what drivers in the hottest seat, the hot seat for this year. Daniel was at the top of every single list, and I hope he shut that shit up because he deserves a ride in the Cup Series. He's a great dude and he's friends with Bubba again. So I guess I have a bias for him, just like I do Chase and Ryan Blaney. But good for him. Good for NASCAR having that moment, that viral moment with that. I think that's good for the sport.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that Suarez won. He's, one of the good guys in NASCAR. And but I gotta say, seeing my driver get wrecked on lap 2 was, pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I was there too.
But come the end of the race, I was there with my son, and he is a Ryan Blaney fan. And I got to tell you, come Sunday evening, I was never more of a bigger Ryan Blaney fan than I was in that moment because I was really, really hoping that he could pull that off. And, my son could see him, like get a win in person, and all he kept saying the entire trip home was, all Blaney needed was 2 inches, Daddy. And, but yeah, it was really, really good for Suarez. And speaking of Ross punting Chase Elliott, you should have heard the crowd when Chase got spun the first time. They let out bigger boos for Ross Chastain than they did when Bubba Wallace got introduced during driver introductions.
Speaking of that, we were sitting there, me and my grandma chit-chatting back and forth as the build up to the race was happening, and you could hear through the TV like a or whatever. I'm like, oh, they must have just introduced Bubba to the crowd. That's probably what that was.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Ben, I know you mentioned you didn't get to see it, but I heard you listen to it. What did
Yeah,
you
it was
think?
exciting.
How did like, so the track has a PA system and they, broadcast the PRN on the speakers, but I couldn't hear anything as far as what they were saying when the cars came by me. So what did the broadcast sound like?
The broadcast sounds great. I'm not sure if the guy from Milford, Delaware was there this weekend. I know he was there the first race in Daytona. It's pretty cool to hear your own hometown guy that you're
I
living
think I
in.
think he does. I think he does MRN. All of the
Okay, yeah.
all of the SMI races like Atlanta, Charlotte, and Las Vegas and stuff are done by PRN. So they have a
Okay.
different crew.
It definitely sounded better. It was more excitement. They sounded more excited than the MRN crew. It was definitely different.
Yeah.
But the finish was great.
Yep.
But
Now Doug Rice, the lead on PRN, gets real excited and paints a really good picture when something's happening. But I got to say on MRN, Dave Moody and Mike Bagley, when a wreck happens, it's like the end of the world when they burst onto the microphone to tell us what's going on, and it's incredible because they can really paint a picture. Sometimes like I like watching it on TV and listening to the TV booth, but sometimes I'll mute it and put on the damn radio broadcast because they seem to just paint a better picture of what's going on.
yeah.
But
I've done that
enjoyable
too.
just to
But that was
listen to
mostly
it.
because I was tired of hearing Daryl Waltrip spew random things that had nothing to do with the race going on the entire time.
It's always
For
fun
the
listening to the radio broadcast.
vortex theory. Mr. Tino, what are your thoughts and feelings on the race on Sunday? You are
You're
muted,
muted.
sir.
I was at Atlanta like last year, man. I gotta say, Atlanta is the track to be at since they repaved it. I mean, it's just exciting, wide racing. Most of the time they're three wide. They're bumping. They're touching each other every lap. It's unbelievable racing for especially if you have young kids like yourself. You said it's just so exciting for the whole family to come and go to Atlanta Motor Speedway and just watch these cars. Just freaking sideways coming out the corner and wrecking on lap two. That's crazy. You never really see that happen, anywhere else. So
Thomas
Atlanta
Cup
Motor
things.
Speedway. Yeah, that's Thomas Cup stats.
No, Dale Jr., said, Atlanta was the hottest ticket in NASCAR. And, he said it again on the Dale Jr. download this week. He's like, normally I would tell people to go to like Bristol or Martinsville, or he's like, no, I'm sending them to Atlanta, you know. And to touch on something that Jamie said a minute ago about the aging of the track and stuff like that, Denny Hamlin, during Actions Detrimental on Monday, said that they are getting ready to do a tire test at Atlanta either in the spring or early summer, where they are supposed to be bringing a softer tire for the September race, the playoff race, which they mentioned something a lot about a little bit of tire fall off during Sunday's race, but it wasn't that much. But if they bring a softer tire, he's thinking with the age progression of the asphalt and the softer tire, we might see more tire fall off and guys struggling just that much more. And then there's going to be like so much more on the line because it's the first race of the playoffs.
Yeah, that adds a completely new strategy piece, just in time for playoffs. Just what every driver wants to have is another curveball thrown at them, but then now the pressure is at its most peak.
Yeah, for sure, man. Because they
Yep.
they didn't have much trouble with tires, thank goodness, but they did have a lot of trouble with fuel this time around, like fuel saving issues. You see, Riley Herbst ran out of gas on lap 160, and Cole Custer ran on fumes just thereafter. A lot of people were having trouble saving gas, and so to have
Yeah.
that aspect added onto it is going to be making Atlanta Motor Speedway one of those tracks you definitely want to be at when it comes around, guys, for sure.
Was
And
there a
green
system?
flag pit stops are also going to be a big challenge at Atlanta. Just the way that the track's built. When they pulled the list during that one green flag stop, I think there was like 10 to 15 drivers that all had pit road penalties that affected their race overall. And then you even had some
Yep.
who were crashing trying to get down pit road.
Yep. McDowell and Byron. I mean,
Yeah.
Byron was just an innocent bystander on that deal, but so talking about the finish, we all saw it. Did you have something, Ben?
Is there a
Good.
statistic on the difference in speeds from the previous year? Did they show that? No.
I'm not sure. I don't know if they showed it on TV or not.
Gotcha.
I do know at one point they were saying something about the cars were coming off of turn 4 at about, I want to say like 189, 190 or something like that. But that was over the
That's
PA. That was over the PA system, so I don't know exactly what may have been said on TV.
Where were they hitting at Daytona?
In the
When they're half
pack,
throttle or full throttle.
yeah. There's a question. That's a question you really need to ask. Were they full throttle or 20% throttle?
As it seems like if they're having gas issues, it seems like they might have been going faster than previous years.
Well, what Tino was saying, the fuel issues. There wasn't really a fuel issue during the Cup race. They
Okay.
weren't really saving fuel during the Cup race. It was more on the Xfinity Series side on Saturday. But we'll
Okay.
get to that we'll get to that in just a minute. Um, but talking about the finish, we all saw it. They were 3 wide, third closest finish in NASCAR history, 3/1000ths of a second. Door Bumper Clear was talking about it the other day, and they were saying, while it was an exciting finish, and I think Brett Griffin said something about the talent level that it took for those guys to run 3 wide for half a lap and not wreck each other. It's just it all comes down to the circumstances behind them. Like, granted they're talented drivers and stuff, but the cars are more stuck to the racetrack, and they're easier to drive. I don't think so. Like I said, we saw guys losing it on their own in the middle of the corners. So the fact that they could run a half a lap 3 wide and not touch one another or wreck one another and come across the line within 2 to 3 inches of each other's noses is incredible. But I'm going to start with Jamie. Where would you rank this finish among the best finishes in NASCAR history? And we're talking about Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch at Darlington, Jimmy Johnson at Talladega. I mean, you could even throw in Gordon and Harvick, Labonte and Earnhardt, Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. Where would you rank it?
Man, I was hoping you were going to throw me a bone and just make it pertain to just Atlanta. Because if you make it just to Atlanta, I would argue that finish is greater than the Harvick Gordon win, where Harvick got the first win for GM since the passing of Dale. I would argue that is better than that finish. Not from an emotional standpoint, but from an overall competitive nature standpoint. That finish was by far superior to that. That is by far the best finish that Atlanta's ever had. And they've had some great finishes with Richard Petty and the likes of all them as well. But when we're talking about the overall, I think for this era, this new generation of NASCAR, this is the absolute best finish that they've had. But if you're talking all time, it's definitely in the conversation. It's probably top 5, maybe top 10. And when you're talking about the whole history of NASCAR, but I think there's some old school racing moves that racers have definitely used to win the race that will beat this because it's just a driver manhandling the vehicle and doing whatever means possible to get that dub. I think of uh, Dale Earnhardt sliding through the grass to still get his win. Uh, I think of when Richard Petty clinched his seventh championship win. So you got special moments that make up great finishes, but in this new era of NASCAR, where they're looking to draw fans, they're looking to grow as with this new generation. This is by far going to be the catalyst to getting new fans to come to NASCAR.
Okay. What about you, Will?
You'll have to ask me in 15 more years whenever it's had time to become a classic. But right now, just off the dome, I don't think it's one of the best, like top five. I think the weight with this one is how unexpected it was. Like you're going down the backstretch, you think, all right, this is going to be Kyle Busch is going to push Ryan Blaney and play it safe and get himself a nice, probably second place or something like that, or maybe coming off turn 4 when they're 3 wide, Bubba's going to throw it down, 4 wide, and we're going to have a big crash or something like that, like typical. But what makes this one special is they held it together and just that the move Kyle Busch made was just such a surprise because he had Bubba ramming his nose up his ass. I would say it's second for Atlanta, but that's because what was it, 2011? What was that? Now I'm old, so I don't know numbers. 13 years ago, when Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon were going at it at Atlanta on a Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
That's probably my favorite finish at Atlanta. So I'd say second at Atlanta, and I need more time to think about it for when it comes to all of NASCAR.
No worries, man. What about you, Ben?
I mean, it all depends on who was watching, what generation was watching. It also depends on if they enjoyed it. Did they enjoy
Hey
it?
guys,
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Do they know the history of the track? It's a culmination of everything. I agree with Will. It's too early to tell right now.
Mr. Tino, do you have an opinion?
I definitely don't think it's the best. Well, it's the best finish of all time in Atlanta history. But there's like a lot of great finishes that come behind it. I mean, you got Kevin Harvick with Jeff Gordon in 2001, where he edged out Jeff Gordon. There's so many great finishes at Atlanta, but this one, this weekend, was just a nail biter. You didn't know who was going to win. You're up off your feet. Everybody in the stands up off their. I mean, this is where NASCAR's back, baby. This is what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
mean, this is the best. This is the best finish in Atlanta history, and I'm hoping that we have some more finishes like this all year, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. So my take on it, obviously from like being there in person to witness it, was incredible in itself. Just actually seeing it, and like like I said earlier, for a good 30 to 45 seconds, hardly anybody in the grandstands knew who the winner was because the scoring pylon didn't update right away. And we couldn't really hear anything on the PA system until all the cars had come across, like the stragglers and stuff like that. And then they told us, Suarez won by 3/1000ths of a second.
Well,
I'll
the
get back to my segment in a minute. Go
radio
ahead, Ben.
radio announcers thought it was the other guy, so
Yeah,
they
Blaney.
immediately was like, "Oh, it was Blaney," and they're like, "Yeah, Blaney won." They're like, "Wait a minute, they're telling us otherwise." I'm like,
Yeah,
"What is it,
TV
guys?"
said the same. TV said the
Yeah,
same thing.
Boyer.
I went back and watched the highlight, and Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer both said, "I think it's Blaney."
Yeah,
But I would rank it if we're talking about, like Jamie and Tino said, if we're talking about Atlanta finishes, I would put it at number one. and it beats, like as emotional and sentimental as it was, it beats Gordon and Harvick. It beats Earnhardt and Labonte just a year prior. It beats Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson when Edwards got his first win in 06. Like, that is number one of all time. But as far as all time, for me, I would put it at number 3. Number 1 being Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch at Darlington in 03. And number 2, the Busch brothers battle at Kentucky in 2019, I believe, when they were beating the hell out of each other for the final 2 laps and they were slipping and sliding all over the place. This finish at Atlanta goes number 3 on my list of all-time finishes.
And so can I come in here?
Yep.
Go ahead, JP. Welcome in.
So where are we? We're talking about the best finish in Atlanta history. So
We were ranking the finish from Sunday as far in terms of the greatest all-time finishes in NASCAR.
okay, me personally, I think it's a 4.
Four out of
And
5 or 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
Okay.
I think that Clark is going to produce an even better finish this fall when they go back. That's just my prediction. So I have to give this one a 4 right now until I see the fall race.
Okay. All right. Well, that leads to a couple questions. Starting with Jamie, in terms of racing product and the finish and all that stuff, is Atlanta becoming the best track on the NASCAR circuit right now?
I mean, you got Daytona that is kind of like the WrestleMania of NASCAR, especially with the Daytona 500. So I don't think it's ever going to top Daytona 500. I think it very well could top Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600, just because it has that. The only reason the 600 is special is because it falls on 4th of July weekend, and then the Indy 500 also happens to be the same exact day. But
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day, yeah. Thank you for correcting me.
Wrong America holiday.
But that's the only reason why Charlotte is special in that sense. So when we're talking about marquee tracks that people need to be at, outside of Daytona, Atlanta's it. And it has to be the spring race, because with the cooler weather, it's a difference maker with the type of product that you get on that track. And I looked up stats between the spring and fall race, and the amount of lead changes on the old configuration of Atlanta, you have more lead changes in the spring race than you would in the fall race, and the gap was by 3. So you have 3 less lead changes come their return to Atlanta in later on in the year. So with the new configuration, with how everything is drawing, Atlanta, to my opinion, is now the official start of the NASCAR season. Like, yes, you have Daytona 500 where everyone's just excited for NASCAR to be back. We're kicking it off in the biggest way possible. But when we're talking about lining up points racing, may the best man win, Atlanta's it.
Okay. Yeah, and I think you're onto something there too. I also think it's somewhat weather dependent too, because Atlanta is so weather dependent. It's 50-50 in the spring. And I did a comparison. I was there for the spring race last year, and it was cold. It was about 45, 46 degrees. It was windy, and the racing was good, but it wasn't that good either. On Sunday, when I was there, it was 67, 68 degrees. There was hardly any wind. The sun was shining on the track the entire day, so it made it hot and slick. I think that may have had a factor in the type of racing that we saw, but I digress.
Well, I don't know if you heard it, but I just want to apologize to anyone who listened to this. If it sounded like some unseen forces try to hack its way into our
That was
podcast
crazy.
and speak through our systems, like that hurt.
That was crazy. I don't know where that came from.
I didn't even hear anything. I was wondering why you guys were making faces. No.
It might have been on
demon
his
from
end.
Doom.
Yeah, I heard it. I go on with it with my Xbox mic.
To describe it, Greg, you know how on TikTok or Instagram when they have like those paranormal little like videos where it's kind of like spooky background, and then you have that random thing that just kind of run up on the camera.
Yeah, jump scare.
That jump scare noise. Take that and increase the pitch volume to as high as you can get it for like a half a second.
Oh wow. I was wondering why Tino took his headphones off and made a face. I was like, what is he doing?
I didn't take my AirPod out.
Anyways, back to our topic. Will, what do you think about Atlanta being the best track?
It's one of them. I still prefer tracks where drivers have to drive. I'll always be a big fan of Watkins Glen, even if it's a boring ass race. I love the track. It's beautiful. I love Dover. Dover's great. And I guess Kansas
Dover's
is great
okay.
too. It's fun. It's fun to drive. I love driving at Dover. Especially when I'm in front of Jamie. I think it's the best plate track, or I guess if you can even call it a plate track. I forget who
they're not really
said it was
plate
an
tracks
anomaly
anymore. They're not really plate tracks anymore.
Yeah,
I saw a meme. There was a meme. Somebody, I don't know where, but it's I don't know if they were two basketball players or whatever. It's these two tall dudes, and they're standing side by side, and Tyler Reddick is standing in, and they got text overlaid the two tall guys as to say over Tyler Reddick, because he's so tiny. I think it's the better plate track out of the three. I was at Talladega last fall, and it was a nail biter of a finish, but the race was just so boring. So boring.
What about you, Ben?
What's that again? My favorite track?
No, is Atlanta becoming the best track on the NASCAR circuit?
I wouldn't say it's the best track. I mean, excitement-wise, I love Bristol. I'm biased.
He did say one up.
What's that?
He did say one up. He didn't say the best, but he said one up the best.
One of. I mean, I've always liked Atlanta. I'm always like drawn to Charlotte, Bristol, Dover. Atlanta's one of the ones I like, but like Will said, I do like Watkins Glen. It's something different. I would like more road tracks, honestly.
I forget how to speak for 5 seconds, and now nobody can.
They've been posting pictures on their Twitter page. Sonoma.
Yes, Sonoma.
I think NASCAR needs to go to Sonoma during the spring. It is absolutely beautiful out there.
It is. I think the issue is there's like some lot or something, or some campground out there is like a drainage place, and it's really rainy this time of year, which is why it's so green. So it would just be a bunch of people getting stuck in like parking lots, or drivers getting stuck out in the mud.
That's the risk you take when you go to a race, man.
Yeah, so it reminds me of.
I
I
plan
would
on
love.
going to that track. I think it's next year because we have family that lives in that part of California and like the Vallejo area. So Sonoma's a hot like half-hour drive from Vallejo. So that's my one of my marquee plans for next year.
I would like Laguna Seca.
That would be nice. It would be nice for NASCAR to go there.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
some nice,
But
decent.
I
road
see
tracks.
Will's getting ready to. He looks like he got traded for a second there.
I love Laguna Seca. It's my favorite track in the entire United States, but I do not want to see these dumbasses driving these cup cars try to take the corkscrew. They will kill each other. They will all die. Every single one of them. The first lap.
I mean,
Uh,
there's not a lot of. I mean, what other road courses are there in the United States? I mean, other than that, you have to go to another country.
Which I wouldn't be
There's
opposed
one
to.
new Barber Motorsports
well, I
Park.
mean, so you got
It-
Barber over in Alabama. You got Road Atlanta.
That's another one.
The obvious ones:
Portland.
Watkins Glen, Sonoma. I don't know if you count the Charlotte Roval, or the Indy
No,
road
I
course,
would
or
count.
even the
Texas has a
Daytona road
roll.
course.
I would count just legitimate actual road courses that are made road courses. You know, like
Road America.
something. That's another one I was thinking of. Yeah, that's another one.
So
They need to
what
go
I
back.
heard,
They need to go back to Road America.
what I heard they used to do back in the day is like for like an all-star race, they would run like half a race, like a road course, and half the race on the oval. Would that be crazy to see?
These
I mean,
drunk
they
ass
kind of
fans in
do
the
it at
stands will forget.
Didn't they do that at Daytona?
And then they've never done that at Daytona, but they run a part of the oval on the Daytona. I'm talking about running the oval race for like half a race and running half of another race, like pretty much some heat races in one
Yeah.
road course
Okay.
and one oval.
Ben, what you're thinking about? I think it was 20. Let's say it was
There was one.
2021. After COVID, they
Yeah.
ran the Daytona 500, and then the next week they ran the Daytona road course,
Okay.
They did.
and then they ran the Clash on the road course as well.
Yeah, they first ran the road course in 2020 when like restrictions in New York, they couldn't get up there for like COVID, and then they went down to the Daytona road course instead for that weekend.
I mean, when I race the road courses on Gran Turismo, I think they have the Daytona road course on there. I believe it is or something, and it seems pretty long as it is. I mean, it's a decent ride.
Yeah.
When you get to that sharp turn.
Yeah, I've run it on Forza Motorsport.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's cool.
Yeah. Anyways, Tino, what are your opinions about Atlanta being the best track?
Atlanta is definitely one of the best tracks on the circuit. I mean, I would have to say Daytona. Obviously, you can never look past Daytona or Bristol. You know, two tracks that I just love. But Atlanta's up there. Since the first time I went to Atlanta was 2015, I actually fell in love with Atlanta. So I would say it would probably be my top three tracks for sure.
Which race did you go to in 2015?
I went to I think was it the Quick Trip? No, it wasn't. It was the Folds of Honor.
For the
the one
Bonga
in-
500.
Yeah, where
One in March.
Yeah, the one where Jeff Gordon rented 3M car.
Yep. Yeah,
I met Jeff Gordon that day. It was awesome.
That was my first ever Cup race that I got to attend in person, and it was like 33 degrees and misting all day.
Oh yeah, it was cold. It was very cold that day.
Yep.
What a good race though.
JP, what do you think about Atlanta?
Atlanta is not one of the best race cars, but it's up there for me. I mean, since they went to this new configuration, they improved it very much so. I have to say, Sunday fans is the best since Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. I think it does beat that, but to say it's the best racetrack, again, I'll have to say, maybe not the best racetrack, but definitely not the worst racetrack.
Just to revert to what we were talking about earlier, Ben was talking about the road course in Daytona. It's actually 3.57 miles. So I just wanted to put that in there because I just wanted to know what the distance was because obviously it's about 2 miles Daytona. So
It is pretty long.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
if
crazy.
you raced
Boy.
it on the game, I mean, I know it's not real life, but I mean, it's pretty realistic. It's a pretty long lap.
Yeah, 3
You guys
miles.
remember
4 miles.
Infineon?
Infinity.
That's
she?
what we're talking about.
And,
I don't know her.
Infineon Sears Point. I think it's
Sears
Sonoma.
Point.
Sonoma, yeah.
They just
Yeah.
renamed it.
They just renamed it. Yeah, it's Sonoma. It used to be Sears Point back in the day. Back in the way day.
Yeah.
A point that I want to
Um,
bring up, this blasphemy in us
Who-
sitting here. In this question that accidentally became, instead of is Atlanta one of the best, it kind of became what is your
Hey,
favorite
Ryan.
racetrack?
Hello.
Hello.
All the heresy of Nutty's Darlington was one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten to see Darlington in person, but I always loved Darlington.
well-
It's probably my favorite racetrack. And it's ironic because I haven't been able to get to that track yet.
Darlington. Oh yeah. And all those older racetracks, they don't race that anymore. Dover's probably about to go away soon too, probably.
Before it retired, Rockingham was my favorite track, and then I switched it to Darlington once they retired that track.
Darlington's
All
amazing.
right, I got one more question before we shift topics here.
Ryan, if you can mute your mic real quick. A lot of
Yep.
background noise.
Silence.
Got one more question before we shift topics. Will or should other tracks be reconfigured to match or come close to the racing style of Atlanta, Jamie?
I don't think other tracks should, because again, that takes away the uniqueness of the challenges that each track provides. Now, if they're planning on just restructuring the track, kind of like Auto Club, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for Auto Club to get a hybrid feel for their track, kind of like what Atlanta does. But if you say more tracks should switch to this configuration, I would say no. I think each track is unique. Each track is beautiful in the sense of the problems that it provides to drivers and the strategies and the tires and everything that we love about NASCAR. It's more than just cars racing fast going left with 2 inches apart from each other. There's the whole strategy aspect of certain driving styles match better with certain tracks. It's the type of surface that they're driving on, and whether it be concrete, whether it be asphalt, whether it be paved, the banking systems. Then you could go into the strategies of the managing tire wear off, along with the track temps and how everything that we love about NASCAR and how in depth it gets. I think you lose that if more tracks get to the Atlanta style of racing.
I would tend to agree.
What about you, Will?
No.
Ben?
I don't think they should either. In my honest opinion, that'll probably be a very controversial opinion. I think they should find other tracks and rotate tracks in and out, because I think it gets boring seeing the same tracks every single year, every time. I mean, granted, it's cool and all, but I think they should introduce new tracks, and they should do a rotational track schedule. Go ahead, James.
Well,
Go ahead.
what tracks would that be? Because
I
I
mean,
listen to this. I've heard this a lot, but I'm interested to see what tracks would you like to see added, and what tracks would you take away from to
I'm
make those
sure
be a
there's.
part of it?
I don't know all the tracks that there are in the whole entire like existence, but add like an extra road course, like Road of America, or add in some other like tracks. Doesn't Xfinity go to tracks that NASCAR like Cup Series does not go to?
I think it's just Portland at this point.
Yeah, Portland.
Okay. I mean, they can go to Portland. They can try different tracks. I mean, I don't know all the tracks that are out there,
So
but
let's go off the two that you named. If they were to add those two to the schedule, what two tracks would you take off the schedule?
well, I would take off one of the extra races. I mean, they don't need an extra Bristol race. I mean, they can always interchange that. I mean, yes, that's controversial too. They can always get rid of one of the extra Daytona races. The summer race isn't really as popular as the Daytona 500. Let's be honest, we can always do the All-Star race as well instead of going to Charlotte. I mean,
Ryan was
Yeah,
saying something. I didn't hear anything you said.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, the summer race tends to be the better race, though. The 500 is the iconic one, but tends to be the better racing happens in the summer. The 4th of July race, Firecracker 400.
Chicago's
Yeah,
the
I mean, you
4th of
got to
July
make
race now.
sacrifices. Which one?
Chicago's the 4th of July race now.
Yep.
Yep.
Did they go? Didn't they stop going to a racetrack not too long ago? Was it Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Kentucky and Chicago,
Yeah, both
and
Kentucky and
It was a
Chicago
parking
got
nightmare,
been
and
around
it was
with
just
pandemic.
a boring race.
Does it still exist?
Yeah.
Kentucky
It's still there.
exists.
Maybe
And
they
Chicago-
should restructure the track or something and fix the parking.
Chicagoland.
Well-
Chicagoland.
Here's the
Yeah, I
thing.
remember that.
I stay quiet, and this is a good topic for me to chime in on.
Get him, boy.
But I was going to have a date here coming up, and another track I'd like to see would I would like to see Richmond lose a date for Chicago Land Speedway to get a date. So
Hey,
that
I like that.
there would be like 3 races in the Midwest. If they kept Iowa, they kept the street race, and threw in Chicago Speedway.
Well, that's another thing they can do is they can add in the man-made road courses that they like to do. They can always switch that out and do that too. I mean, there's so many different things. They need to switch it up a little bit.
Streets of Starkville, please.
Well, they did. Go ahead, Ryan.
My go-to would probably be to look at the mile and a halfs and maybe reduce some of them to have 2 races. Like, for example, maybe a Kansas doesn't need 2 dates, or Las Vegas maybe doesn't need 2.
Not Kansas.
Before cutting dates away from the short tracks, which we only have 3 of that are true short tracks.
So much happened here.
Yeah, I agree.
Steve Phelps, the president of NASCAR, did say the other day that they are currently working on the 2025 schedule. And he did drop a bomb that said that one of the 3 series, and he was mainly hinting at the Cup Series, will be racing in Montreal, Mexico
That'd be
City,
cool. That'd be cool.
and somewhere in Southern California next year. Where that is to be determined. And I may be with you, Ben, and maybe say one of the street courses down there like Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. Yeah.
All right.
There's
Well,
No, it's not going to be Laguna Seca, but I'm trying to get my internet to pull up so I can tell you where it would be.
oh,
yeah, I'm
while
trying to
you
think
do
of any
that,
other tracks.
Let me. I got my computer handy.
You won't know. You won't know, but I know.
What? You got it? Okay. Okay. Say
There you
it,
go.
Will.
Okay, it is a little town called Thermal, California. They have a track, a little club there called the Thermal Club. IndyCar is racing there this year. If it's a road course they're going to in Southern California, it's going to be this place. It is in Riverside County. I'll tell you if that rings any bells.
they're going to bring back Riverside Speedway.
No, Riverside Speedway is gone. It's like a parking lot or something.
Uh-oh.
Irwindale?
It's like this rich guys taking their expensive car to the track thing, Thermal Club. They're doing a non-points race for the IndyCar series there, called like the Thermal Challenger, the $1 million Thermal Challenger or whatever. It's like the second or third event of the season this year. But if they go to Southern California and it's a road course, that's where it's going to be. I don't know where else they would go in Southern
Looking it up
California
right now.
unless they race
Riverside
like
International Raceway.
yeah, Riverside's gone.
It's a road course.
Okay, yeah.
It's been gone a long time.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
That would
looking
be
at
cool,
the
though.
racetracks in California, and they had Bakersfield has some tracks.
That would be
Yeah,
I'm
Harvard's
not
is fun.
familiar with Southern Cali, so I don't know.
It could also be Long Beach.
They would die trying to go around that fountain. That'd be so fun.
Yeah,
It would.
Much
That
prefer
could be where they're
the
going.
Thermal Club.
Yeah, as long as they
So,
have Snoop Dogg do the pre-race.
I'm
I'm looking
down.
at the map of all these
Hey,
racetracks.
Ryan was saying something. Go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, Ryan.
So yeah, I was saying that I would much prefer Long Beach over the Thermal Club for one reason only, and it's fan accessibility. Because tickets to Long Beach, while they might be expensive, there's virtually no fan access at the Thermal Club unless you're paying a couple $1,000.
He's right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into our next topic of the night. It's our team of the week. And this is basically what this is we focus on one team a week. This week we are focusing on Front Row Motorsports. Now, we have seen over the last couple of weeks, granted, Daytona and Atlanta are, technically speedways and stuff, and anybody can be good at the speedways. But Michael McDowell has qualified on the front row for the Daytona 500, and he got his first career pole at Atlanta this past weekend. And during the Atlanta race on Sunday, Todd Gilliland led a career high 58 laps, which is the most laps that anybody led on Sunday. Front Row Motorsports recently, they were partnered with RFK Racing in 2023 through the Alliance, but over the off season they switched their alliance to Penske Racing. And during or just before the Daytona 500, they announced that they became a Tier 1 OEM partner with Ford. So, you have the wily veteran Michael McDowell racing for them, and then they've had kind of like a rotating revolving door of drivers for the 38 with Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith, and I think John Hunter Nemechek did a year there. Now that it seems like they finally settled down on their driver lineup, could Front Row Motorsports be becoming a top performing Ford team in the Cup Series? Jamie?
So I think they're definitely on the verge of having a breakout season. I don't necessarily will say that they will be a top team until everything's said and done. However, one thing that I will say is between the two drivers and 2 races, they've already led 107 laps, which is 3 shy of their full season record last year. So obviously, they have the speed. Me and Ryan were talking about this on his YouTube page. Michael McDowell is now not just he's going to be a guy who's just going to be there and maybe get like a top 15, maybe on a top 10 on a good day kind of driver. He's now got the speed and the talent to compete week in and week out. And then we look as a team like Ty Gillen. When was the last time that a team like Front Row with their second driver who is able to put it on and run up front with the amount of laps that he was able to run? So I would say if we were to put them in a competition form, I would say they would be they now be in the categories of like Trackhouse and 2311. 2-car teams that have winning caliber talent. I would probably put Front Row in that bracket of teams.
Okay. What about you, Will?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're all right. I like Michael. I think they I think they're good plate. They've got a good plate track program going right now, and with this car, being a real driver's car, the real drivers track have the real drivers come to the front like Michael McDowell did, like Phoenix and Bristol. I need to be more convinced on more conventional tracks like Las Vegas. I still need to be convinced they can really actually compete there. With like the Toyotas and Hendrick Motorsports at those kind of tracks. But they're cool.
What about you, Ben?
I'm on the same side as Will right now. I feel like it's still time needs to be written for them. McDowell's good. I mean, in my eyes, I think he's still just an average driver on an average team. I mean, I don't think he's going to get anywhere unless he moves on to a different team that has better parts, better performance, and has a better track record. That's just my opinion. I think the team's holding him back.
Let me ask you this real quick. So I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jamie who was saying something about the hot seats. I think we all know who the biggest hot seat was besides Daniel Suarez, and that was Austin Cindric. I get that his dad is like the president of Penske Racing or whatever his title is over there. But if he doesn't start performing and they decide to let him go with the Alliance, do you think maybe they tap Michael McDowell to jump in the 2-car?
That's a big spot to fill. That's a lot of pressure.
I think Harrison Burton's on the chopping block well before they get rid of Cindric.
With Michael McDowell being as religious as he is, would he be okay with driving the Keystone Light car?
Maybe, I don't know. I met McDowell on Sunday. Me and my son did. He come out to the fan zone and was signing autographs, and he was a really super nice guy, real down to earth type of guy. Really, really, really freakishly tall too.
You just made Ryan super jealous.
Yeah, you guys make Ryan super. goes.
I missed him at the 2019 race. I was there in the fan zone while he was doing a Q&A session, and I missed him as he was going off the stage.
Oh wow.
Todd
Yeah,
Gilliland is very tall too.
Yeah. No, me and my son were just happened to be walking right by the little vendor booth that they had set up, and this lady just starts calling out, "All right, the line to meet Michael McDowell starts right here. He'll be here in 10 minutes." And I looked at my son, and I was like, "All right, let's get in line." And we were like the second group in line.
Nice.
Like we met him like almost immediately. I've got pictures. I'll put them in the group chat later. But Tino, what are your thoughts about Front Row becoming a top team, a top Ford team?
I think Front Row Motorsports has one star driver and one upcoming driver with Todd Gilliland. You got obviously Michael McDowell as being the star driver, and he's got so many. Love's Travel Stop just did a deal with him for the multi-year deal for the first time ever. They've been doing year-to-year deals before that, but Michael McDowell got a multi-year deal with them, so that's pretty nice. I think that Front Row Motorsports can be something. They're going to probably need a little more backing, a little more money, a little more funding, obviously. Will Michael McDowell step into 2-car? That's a heavy possibility. He has all this backing with the Love's Travel Stop, Roto-Rooter, Max Liner, different, big deals there that can ride along with him over to Penske if he went. And he's definitely a good driver, good enough driver to win at Penske, easy.
Now, obviously, McDowell's been around for a while. We all know he got real famous after his qualifying wreck at Texas. And that was in 2008. So we're talking 16 years. Now we've seen, here recently, the average career for a Cup Series driver is somewhere between the 15 to 20 year range. So we're in that range right now. If, like Tino just said, McDowell had the contract extension with Front Row and all that. If he were to just decide he was done racing, who do you think would be tapped to drive the 34 car? Would they move?
Whoa. Easy.
I mean, it's just a question.
I already know somebody.
Yep.
What's wrong with that question?
No.
Go ahead, JP.
I really think it's going to be Mr. Who took over the 38 car for James Slip.
Lane Riggs?
Lane Riggs.
It's like his first year.
I think.
Isn't he only 19 years old or something?
All right, so you know who's ready. You know who's ready to take over that 34 car had he retired this year?
Matt Crafton.
Matty D. Easy. I think so. I mean, he had 2 opportunities to win. Obviously, he came up short, but I mean, how many other young drivers do you know came up that close to winning a NASCAR race? I mean, besides freaking the lucky guy, that guy who came in and won that his first try last year at the road course. What was his name?
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah. He's very talented, obviously, but
Shane Van Cheeseburger.
He's like 40.
Yeah. For a young driver to come in and almost win, and I think he was with Wood Brother at that time. Wood Brothers is absolutely like just shocking and outstanding. I think he needs another opportunity and a better ride. Matty D.
He actually, so before he was in the 21, he was in the 95, and he almost won Bristol.
That's when it was. Yeah, 95. Yeah, that was crazy. I was pulling for him.
And before that, he was driving the 32 car for Go Fast Racing, and he finished 8th at Bristol. So Bristol was kind of like his sweet spot, if you think about it.
Yeah.
He finished 6th at Bristol in a BK racing car as well, the number 23 or 83, one of those 2 cars.
Yeah, he's never been in a decent ride, man. And I think Matty D got his head chopped off this year to get his opportunity, and he's hungry and he's ready to get in a car. Matty D, if you're listening to me, dog, I'm pulling for you, man. Get back in the car. We love you, man.
See, I met Matty D
Just keep
in
your fucking mouth
Charlotte.
shut, Matt.
I met him at Charlotte back in, I think it was 2018, and may I say he is like freakishly tall and like seriously jacked, like Ryan Newman jacked. But I was actually there to witness him get his first Truck Series win for the 25 back in 2022 at
Okay.
Talladega. That
That's
was
awesome.
really cool to see.
Yeah.
But going back to our topic here,
Yeah, I have an idea.
go ahead.
McDowell can take over the Liberty University car.
Liberty, bibbity, bibbity. Wasn't that weekend that Matt won that race like the same weekend that Brandon Brown won and Bubba won their first races as well?
No.
Was it not?
No.
No, that was 2021.
Yeah, it was.
I'm thinking of the year before.
Yeah.
Was the question if McDowell were to retire this year or next year?
It just like any point in the next 2 to 3 years.
So if he was to retire, I think it like we talk about Matty D, we talk about some of those guys who would like to have a bounce back or a redemption year, similar to how Noah Gregson's getting one. But if you're looking at like the Xfinity guys, I would say Chandler Smith would probably be the guy. I know JGR. I've seen reports where once MTJ decides to retire, that's their guy who's going to be taking over the 19. So, but if an opportunity were to present itself prior to MTJ leaving, I would like to see Chandler Smith getting into it.
Are there any Ford teams in the Xfinity Series really?
Yeah,
Not really, no.
This the 98.
Ryan Sieg Racing is like the only Ford team. Them and AM Racing.
So Haley Deegan can take over the 34.
Yeah.
I would go for it.
Going back to our topic.
Would you take Haley
quick,
Deegan or
though,
Natalie Decker?
Haley Deegan. I would go for that.
Neither one are my type.
I met Natalie before. She's cool, but I think Haley Deegan's definitely a better driver. Sorry, Natalie.
Better driver regardless.
Like Greg's video cut out. I think he's tired of us.
But hey, are we not forgetting about Eric Jones?
He's already in a cup car.
Yeah, he's in a cup car, but hey, can he not transfer to a different car? He's in a freaking 43.
He better fucking not. This is the best chance he's got now.
Oh, heck no. He could go over to the 19 all day long because you not see him in a 19 car?
They kicked him out already.
Oh, they go back if they want to win a championship.
What the
hell is that?
What the fuck is that?
Yo, what is going on tonight? Like,
what is going on?
Could it be Greg?
Hey,
headset, maybe?
can you just check your messages, Jamie, for me?
You sound Alf.
Yo, it was just like it sounded like someone had a trach in their neck, like. Rah, 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 rah.
Sounds like we're at their dubstep concert.
Nope, it is Greg. It is Greg.
Yeah, it's definitely
Greg.
Dude, it sounds like that's a dang
You might have
alien
to
mic.
switch to your AirPod, Greg, because that headset ain't working for you, bro. You sound like the Peanuts teacher.
It's like an Xbox voice changer from 2008.
Yeah, those Xbox changers were legit. They were legit.
I used to race with TJ Majors on NASCAR 09 on Xbox, and he had one of those.
My cousin used to pretend he was a girl and they were using one of those voice masks. It was great.
Was he hot?
It was ridiculous.
No, it didn't fix itself. You still sound like the Peanuts character.
You might need to leave and come back, or unplug it and replug it back in. Or...
Whatever mic you had before worked fine.
I think he was using his AirPod. I don't know if it died on him or not.
Yeah, probably.
Any better now?
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's
Sorry about that.
Well.
No, so my AirPods died and I had to switch to my headset. Anyways, let's get back on track here.
Was that a pun? I like it.
Sorry to our listeners for the technical difficulties. Jamie, you made a point a few minutes ago about Front Row being like on the verge of being a top team. Could they be a force to be reckoned with here soon?
Like I said, I think only time will tell. Like Corinne, we only have a small sample size, right? And both of them are kind of super speedway-esque type driving. But just the way that they had performed, we weren't really sure what they were going to have with their new partnership with Penske and things like that. And it's definitely paying dividends for the team. Again, I think if the trend continues, then yes, there'll be a force to reckon with. Again, just like 2311 can win at any given point, just like Trackhouse can win at any given point. And it'll be one of those things that only time will tell. But Michael McDowell, I disagree with Ben. I think McDowell is an above average driver who was considered to be stuck in an average equipment. But with his level of skill that he has, with his new connection with Penske and Ford, I think that this is going to be a breakout year for their group. Now, what that breakout looks like, that could be up for debate. But I think this year we're going to be seeing a lot more Front Row being talked about in a week in, week out basis.
What about you, Ben?
I feel like Track to be a top 10 finishing team for sure for the year.
The McDowell team in the front row?
McDowell for sure.
I mean, I think they're doing better than everybody's expectations. I mean, McDowell himself has improved. I mean, I like McDowell. I mean, I don't think he's that bad of a driver at all. Now, if he was on a different team, I think he'd be a better driver. I mean, it's not that he's not a good driver now. I do say he's average, but that's just because of the team he's on. It's holding him back.
What about you, Will?
I think Front Row and McDowell. I think there's one thing they've been having to do since they got into the Cup Series. I've had a shot, so I'm kind of more courageous now. They've been having to do this. They've been having to play catch up. So I think now that they've got this tier 1, whatever it's called before, I don't know the business ins and outs. I think they're not gonna be a force to be reckoned with. I think they're gonna be doing the same thing they've done since they got in. They're gonna take it slow. They're gonna figure this shit out so that in a year, maybe 2 years, they will be, knocking off top 5s and top 10s. And what is it they say all the time when you listen to radio, when you listen to TV, when you're knocking off top 5s and 10s, eventually the wins are coming your way. I didn't mean to write a bar, but I did. I think that's what we're going to see in the next couple of years. I think they're going to be up there fighting for top 5s and 10s, specifically with Michael McDowell, because they ain't never going to find somebody that's good for that second car full time.
Oh, I beg you get for real.
What, you think they're going to get Lane Riggs to knock off top 5s and 10s for that car?
No.
Let him cook, Will. Let him cook.
Not not language. Not language. I got a different guy from mine. And his name is Michael Miller. One of my friends wants to get into NASCAR, and I think he's got the talent to take over.
Well, I believe in your friend too.
Man, JP just threw out a name that nobody knew but him.
Yeah.
Where is this Michael
Me.
Miller from?
Me. It's gonna be me.
You know?
Irvindale, Des Moines, my area. I just have to have some fun. No, but seriously, Matt Clapton needs to get a couple like before he retires.
Yeah, I think he
he's
may
going
be
to.
close to it.
I don't think he's going to.
Who? Who you say?
Okay. Matt
Matt
Clapton.
Matt Craft? Oh no, he's too old. And he's been in the
I
Cup car
think Matt
before.
Crafton likes where he's at, man.
Yeah,
Likes to be in the
I
truck
think-
series.
Yeah, he's like Justin Allgaier. He's happy to be in a
also
lifer
older
in
than
that series.
McDowell, so if one of those two is going to retire, it's going to be Crafton first.
Matt Crafton drove for Kyle Busch like twice and didn't do all that hot in that car.
Do you know who?
Wow.
Do you know who's actually on the up and coming that I actually really like? Now 2 weeks in, just because I kind of made it a point to pay attention more to trucks and Xfinity, and the guy who I'm starting to like and starting to watch as he's growing is Raja Karuth. So there's just something about that guy that draws me in, and I'm going to be excited to see where he ultimately ends up.
I was racing with him on iRacing one night in a practice, like an open practice lobby. It was at Darlington. He was like stopped up against the wall, and by the time I saw him, I was like 175 tacked up against that wall. I'd committed. Couldn't get out of the way, and I barreled into him like full speed. And he was the one that came over like the text chat and said sorry, even though it was my fault.
Huh.
Go ahead, Tino.
I was going to say Raja Karuth, he really, really, really impressed me on Daytona. We watched him in the truck series. He had a chance to win it there. Honestly, I think he could have really stuck his nose and won it there, but I think he was just trying to play it smooth and just take his second position, you know. You live and you learn a little bit. Even if you come in second place one time, your time will come, you know what I'm saying? Just ride along. I'm telling you, give it Raja Karuth, he's gonna win a couple races, I think, very soon. Maybe not this year, but he's got Hendrick underneath his belt. I think he's a rising star for sure.
Yeah, and just to talk about that Daytona spot, that actually shows the intelligence of the driver right there, knowing that he probably could have forced his way in there, and it very well could have ended very badly, but he decided to show maturity that not a lot of drivers in that race had, and was like, you know what, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm going to just guarantee that I get a top 5 finish here.
He wrecked the whole field.
Well, he definitely stayed in a lane.
He tried to get in that other lane, and the problem was that other lane had a car in it, and he wrecked the entire fucking field down the backstretch. So I think I don't think he tried to play it that safe, but it turned out well for him.
As soon as Will said, I don't think there's going to be any more wrecks, I think we're clear. Wreck.
Yep. No, for real though, I think Raja will be a solid driver. He's got definitely a lot to learn.
And I don't know if you guys saw before we all got on here tonight, but that 7-1 team does have the Cluck fully sponsored by Hendrick Motorsports, HendrickCars.com. saw that earlier today and why we were giving him props. I thought it would be a good time to bring that up.
Yeah, right. They're sponsoring the rest of the season for him, I think.
Yeah, and I know I'm talking shit and giving him shit. I like him. I do. He's a cool kid.
Obviously,
He's
Mr. Hendrick,
21. I'm saying, but I'm still saying kid.
Mr. H, he finds something in him too if he's going to give him a full ride, sponsor him for the rest of the season. You know, I take that Hendrick car truck all day. That's a beautiful truck.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last question on this topic. So obviously, you know, Penske is like the top Ford team, but there's another what's considered top Ford team that hasn't been performing very well. With, you know, front row moving up, what does the future hold for Stewart-Haas Racing? Jamie.
Well, first and foremost, they gotta find some speed somewhere. Like, I was looking at an article and about Stewart-Haas Racing, and we kind of hit on it before in the preseason pods and things like that. It's a year for Stewart-Haas Racing that's going to present the most challenges because they don't have Kevin Harvick to hold it down for them. I think a lot of their vulnerabilities, a lot of their lack of speed, lack of equipment was kind of hid under a rug because you had Kevin Harvick at the wheel of one of their cars and was showing them what a really good driver could do with, at this point, mediocre equipment. So they got to figure something out, or else their future is going to look really, really off for next year. I don't know. I just got a bad feeling about that whole team for this year.
What about you, Will?
I think they need to cut 2 cars out of that organization and just be a 2-car team. That'll cut 2 charters out. But I mean, at that point, maybe Dale Jr. will spend a couple pennies to buy one. But yeah, I think I don't think there's any way to say it other than they suck. They're not great. Kevin Hart. I don't even think Kevin Hart finished in the top 10 in points last year, and he was the best car they had. But that's just because it was Kevin Harvick. I don't know what anybody really sees in Josh Berry, to be honest. He won one race at Martinsville and made everybody really happy because he's this short track racer kid that went up and won a race in the big leagues driving for junior, and now everybody thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread.
Hold up,
Ryan.
Ryan.
Kind of say something. While substitute driving for Annette.
What was that sound? It looked like somebody left and came back, but nobody went anywhere. But yeah, I don't think I can sugarcoat it in any way other than saying they suck, and they need to drop 2 cars.
Well, I'm going to jumping out with the real here and say this: if they don't get their crap together, they will have to suck their doors in 4 years. Completely.
Well, I've got an opinion on it, and I'll save it till after everybody else goes. Go ahead, Ben.
And we're talking about Stewart-Haas.
Yeah.
Like what is the
unfortunately
what do you think the future holds for them after the whole front row alliance deal and all that stuff?
Oh, it all depends on how they perform. Talent-wise, I think Briscoe is probably the best bet. Josh Berry's next. Custer and Gregson, they're mid. But Berry and Briscoe.
Don't forget Ryan Preece.
I was say Custer's not in the Custer's right now. It's
Ryan Preece is down there. I didn't even see him. Yeah, Ryan Preece is good. I mean, you can always put Priest, Briscoe, and Barry on a team and get rid of Gregson. I don't think you need 4 people on a team, but if they're going to join another team, who's on the? Are they joining the other team? Is that what's happening? Or are
No.
they just no?
No, I think the question is just what with
What do you think happens to them? Like if they don't pick up their performance with Front Row becoming a top or possibly becoming a top team.
I think I think it should turn into a 3-team instead of a 4-team. I think Gregson's holding them down. I think Priest and Briscoe and Barry can hold it down, and I think Gregson's holding them.
So
we've also only seen Gregson in the 10 car for 2 races. 3 if you count the LA Coliseum.
Did he make the big show at the Coliseum?
Yeah, he did. He did make the show. He was like 3 laps down by lap 20.
Yeah.
I mean, they can always bring it Riley Herbst, or however you say his last name.
Herbst.
Yeah.
I pronounced it Riley Herbst.
Do we really need a third monster car out there in the Cup Series?
Get rid of his sponsor. Give him a new sponsor.
That's cool.
There you go. That'll piss him off.
Ryan, do you have a thought?
Yeah, so what I see for Stuart Haas's future is that if they can't pick up the performance with Ford, their best hope for viability as a true top team would be to potentially be the catalyst for this mystery third car coming in 2027 or whenever. But being the catalyst for that, especially where Stuart Haas doesn't have deep ties to Ford the way that, say, a Roush does. I think that you can very easily see them be not going to lose their charters yet. It'll depend on teams like Rick Ware and Spire picking up the pace and starting to put the pressure on them.
Tino.
Yes, sir.
Well, what are your thoughts, sir?
I think so for the question again, because I was listening to him, Stuart Haas. What was the question about Stuart Haas? Again,
what do you think the future holds for them? Since Front Row has become or is on the verge of becoming a top Ford team.
Okay, yeah. I think Stuart Haas Racing, I mean, they got a really good chance of winning maybe a couple races this year. I think Noah Gregson's a good driver. Is he good enough to win a race? Maybe not. He's still got get his feet wet a little bit. I mean, Josh Berry, he's a good driver, but I think he's more like just like he's consistent. Like he's consistent. And you obviously got, Chase Briscoe there. He can win a race. He's really good on the road courses. You never really know what can happen on the road courses at any time. Also, you got the super speedways. Anything can really happen. Fords are always really fast on super speedways. So, I mean, a couple of wins, they can keep their nose above water, but it's really expensive to stay in this sport right now. That even to go off topic a little bit, even Hendrick has said they haven't really had haven't made much money over the years. So I'm saying, like, if you're not winning races, you probably can't keep the doors open. And I think they could probably win a few races this year. So,
okay, all right. Well, my opinion, I am reverting back to week 1. We first spoke about this. If you guys recall, this is the last year that Stuart Haas is under contract with Ford. I am still predicting in 2025 that Stewart Haas switches over to Chevy and Dale Jr. buys into the team and becomes a co-owner. And he gets Barry and Gregson back under his wing, and they go out and become a top Chevy team, and we finally get to see Dale Jr. as a quote-unquote owner in the Cup Series.
I don't know if that would turn them into a top team, especially with how deep the Chevy ranks are. I mean, it's a very deep field to compete with a Chevy.
RCR,
Well-
Hendrick.
Yeah,
really
you got
just RCR Hendrick.
you got RCR, Hendrick, and I mean, really, let's be real.
You also got Trackhouse.
Let's be me.
Yeah. Let's be real for a second. We all know that Cup Series is hard. So for a team to go and pick up Dale Jr. as a co-owner, it's going to be growing pains. I'm sorry to say, I don't think Dale Jr. is the answer. If Dale Jr. is the answer, he needs to buy a lotto ticket.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I also understand where Greg's coming from, because two of the drivers currently racing for Stewart Haas race for Dale Jr. So that they have that relationship there. I can see it happening. I also just don't like this timeline, because if Junior's going to get in Cup, he needs to do it on his own, like with his own team, and not pussyfoot around it and buy into another team.
Oh, he's already gone on record and said that he's most likely not buying charters because they're going for like 40 to 45 million a piece right now. He said he thought about it, but at the same time he didn't want to spend $90 million on two charters and them not perform the way that he wanted them to perform.
If that's what they're going for, let me go tell somebody I have a charter.
All right.
Well, it could be one of the only people to use, like, get promoted by Hendrick and use Hendrick Motors, maybe.
Yeah.
Or they can go to Toyota.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, they could have shocked. They could shock the hell out of us. You know.
He's
go to
never drove a
Toyota,
Toyota. Come on.
Like
I don't
Legacy
want
Motor
more
Club did.
competition.
He would
Jimmy
never
Johnson.
drive a Toyota.
Jimmy
I don't
Johnson
want
never
more
drove a
competition.
Toyota, and now he is.
Well, that is damn weird, too.
And that's kind of why I've suggested potentially branching out with a potential fourth manufacturer when and if it comes. Because all three manufacturers realistically now have plenty of depth at projects. Toyota being the lightest, but they now have what, 9 full-time? What is it, 8, 9 full-time cars?
No, they're not.
Yeah, I did hear about them running some cup practices with the Kias. I'm just messing with you. That would be horrible if they put Kia in the Cup Series.
And
man.
Harrison Burton
Is
wins
that
the
a
Daytona 500
possibility?
in his number 21 Optima.
I mean, Kia does have a nice car out right now, though.
No, I don't. If Kia did come into NASCAR, I don't think it'd be the Optima. I think it would be that
Like
damn
a Stinger? Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
But we all know what Kia stands for, right?
It's just
Killed in
like,
action.
it's just
Skilled
like
in action.
IKEA
That's what's
was
going to
up
happen every single
high.
race.
Oh, then Ross needs to be driving it. Never mind.
All right,
They
let's
get
switch.
drinking.
Let's switch some gears here. We're gonna go into green flags and black flags now for Mr. Tino, and for our new listeners, green flags and black flags. Green flags is something or some things that you did enjoy over the race weekend. It could be from any of the series, and then black flags is the opposite, stuff that you didn't like. Starting with Jamie, what you got?
So, green flag, without stating the obvious, I'm trying to find something that's not involving the finish of the race. Again, I just like the overall product of the track and the drivers of which that they had rostered up for this race. I think just from a talent level, once again, that each driver has an exceptional amount of skill to be able to pull off a race that we had got from Atlanta. So that would be my green flag. My black flag, have been kind of holding on this one, so it's not from this weekend. My black flag, I'm throwing it on JP. How is that man going to fall asleep on a podcast and start snoozing at the very end? Like we in the flow, like we having a great time, and also we just hear. Oh man! So sorry, JP, but you were getting my first official black flag of the season.
Oh man,
Oh, okay.
that's good. All right, Will, what you got, man? When you're done laughing over there.
When I can breathe. My green flag, my biggest green flag is because I'm biased. The only driver to finish in the top 10 in both the first two races of the season was Bubba Wallace, and they were both top fives. So yay. My second, much smaller but also nice green flag is that this is a good viral moment for the sport. Is this finish, and the reason is it's my green flag, and it's not just me mentioning it once in the show, is because this is a viral moment that goes viral that new fans can actually come back and see. Not a viral moment going around Twitter because some melon man wrote around a wall that ended up a rule ended up taking that out. You can't do that anymore, so fans can't see that anymore. They can't come to the track and expect stuff like that. This kind of finish they can expect 6 times a year because we go to tracks like this 6 times a year. Or I don't know, maybe they'll do something like this at Charlotte. That'd be crazy. Black flag.
Yeah.
Also, even smaller green flag is Raja Karuth. Top 10s in both the first 2 races of the year. Good for him. I don't really know what a black flag would be. It was a really good race. I didn't watch the other 2 races though. I guess I'll just stay on my mild Austin Hill hate train and that he won again.
Ben, what you got?
I would go with my green flags would be Suarez winning, exciting finish. Bubba Wallace doing good again. Black flags, Joey Logano with his penalty. What else would I think of for a black flag?
Don't send me falling asleep again.
No.
Do it.
Brad Keselowski hasn't been doing good. I think he's something to look out for, maybe on a decline. So maybe a black flag for him. And maybe the wrecks. The wrecks kind of slowed the race down a little bit as well. But other than that,
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Were you done now?
yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
So my black flag is, of course, throwing it at Gaming there. For teasing me about falling asleep, but my real black flag has to be the fact that, you know, everybody said this weekend was a great race, and it was. But I tell you what, NASCAR, why didn't you throw a caution? I know it would have been in the middle green flag pickups. But when you see cars wrecked on the apron there, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. 34, Michael Mandel. I can't remember who else was involved.
William Byron.
Jesus
Yeah,
boy.
Will and Byron.
Factor in that Michael McDowell only lost, what, one lap off of that?
So I guess that would be my back from my green flag is that finish was fun to see. I'm happy for dinosaurs. And my second green flag has to go to Walter Carruth. That kid is really improving as a driver, and I expect him to do some big things now that they're not worried about sponsorship of that number 71 clerk, Spire Motorsports entry.
All right. Ryan, what are yours?
All right, so I think my green flag should be a pretty obvious one, but Mike McDowell on the pole position. And my black flag is that Mike McDowell did not choose to make it a Front Row Motorsports 1-2 start when Logano got handed the penalty. Come on, the front row joke was right there. But, yeah, no, in all seriousness, McDowell on the pole, definitely one of my biggest green flags of the weekend, along with, obviously, the finish that everybody's talked about up to this point. I think my black flag has got to be something related to that Xfinity race, because how on earth they were able to go, what, the expected fuel range was, what, 70 to 75 laps? They went 85 laps. Well, Austin Hill went 85 laps. The rest of them didn't. But, yeah, they were able to go further than, about 10 laps further than any estimation, so I don't know what needs to be changed to try and avoid that kind of fuel mileage fest at some of these tracks where they can make 10 miles longer, because no one was trying to pass the entire Xfinity race.
So I have two more things to add because I was looking some things up. Brian Keselowski, to add on to him, he's the only driver who has failed to finish both races this season, and he's also winless in his last 100 Cup starts. Now, on to the Wood brothers. Do you know how many races they have gone without having a top 10 result?
I want to
Probably-
say it dates back to the Matt DiBenedetto days.
No, 2021 Indy, all the rookies got a top 5 that day. Harrison Burton was part of that.
It's been 17 races.
Wow.
That's a while. They need to start getting their asses in gear.
Yep. What about you, Mr. Tino?
Well, my green flags, I think it's gonna be just, I had a major point here, so I think I'll go to my red flag first. It's gonna be definitely Chase Elliott finishing 15th. Oh my goodness, that's just not what I expected from him this weekend.
Well, he did get wrecked twice too, so
Yeah.
So my green flag, I would say, is probably just NASCAR in general. Like they built this car to come with a spectacular finish like this, where we can see side by side racing, and this is what they expected out of this car. And I think NASCAR got a big win, a big green flag for me. I think that's what I want to say for the green flag this week. Honestly.
Hell of a race. I mean, yeah, the racing was great. I agree with that.
Yeah. So, I have a few. My green flags are, obviously overstating the obvious here. The finish of the race, it was absolutely incredible to witness that in person. The racing throughout the whole race was fantastic. But some other ones, the weather was fantastic all weekend. It was sunny and warm both days, Saturday and Sunday. And on Sunday, the fans absolutely showed up and showed out. That was the most packed I've seen Atlanta in years on Sunday. Like, me and my son didn't hardly have any breathing room whatsoever. We were packed in there like sardines. My Black Flags have to go to the 41 and the 10 car for having their roof rail deflectors penalized, and they received a massive L1 penalty because of it. They were docked 35 points apiece, which puts Priest at 0 points and puts Gregson at -6 points. Another one is obviously the Joey Logano deal, the blatant cheating or qualifying, and my other Black Flag has to go to the Truck and Xfinity Series races on Saturday. Just single file racing, nobody's passing, and how in the hell does 3/4 of the Xfinity Series field run out of gas on the final restart? And you had Jesse Love, who led 157 of 169 laps and not come away with the win.
I'll say one of my green flags is Denny Hamlin surviving. I don't know how the hell his car survived all that.
He pulled the trifecta. He said he wrecked in every single stage in Sunday's race.
He did.
And then I have one more green flag, and Denny Hamlin, if you ever happen to listen to this podcast, please know that I am giving you a green flag for this. He gave us a yellow flag because he pissed in his car for the very first time in his career.
Those are rookie numbers.
Real quick, I can just jump in on the Jesse Love quote there, or the stat that you pulled up about him leading, what was it, 155 laps, you said?
157.
157. So I've seen so many people saying like look at how many laps he's led. He's almost led as many as Creed. But nobody in the Xfinity race was trying to pass him to the lead because they were all saving fuel right behind him and trying to use his car to break the air. So that definitely artificially inflates the number of laps led there with less effort than other races.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question. Going into Las Vegas, I was reading a stat here. Truex has gone 15 consecutive races without a top 10 finish. Truex also has the longest streak of top 10 finishes at Las Vegas with 7. Do you think he's going to get a top 10 or a top 5 at Las Vegas?
For me, no.
I say yes.
Okay.
I think Obed Time is caught up, and I don't think he is.
I don't know.
Well, that's actually a fantastic segue into our final topic. Las Vegas is this weekend, boys. We're going gambling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just to give a scratch on that last topic, Martin Truex Jr. got a 7th place finish in this race last year.
Who got 4th? Read that.
Yeah.
4th place was not Bubba Wallace. It was definitely not Bubba Wallace. I'm just kidding.
Longest streak.
Don't you fuck with me. I'll race you tomorrow.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace got 4th place. So, but I'm going to Vegas, baby. Let's go roll some dice this weekend. Who we got?
That Interstate Batteries car looks great. I can tell you that.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
So,
Name every time they know not to change it.
Starting with Jamie real quick. This is the first non-speedway race of the season. What do you think we can expect based on the last couple years with the next gen car?
I mean, Last year was kind of like an anomaly year because everyone was still trying to learn the cars. I think now having more time in their belt, more understanding of the equipment, and yes, we got new body builds for both Toyota and Ford. That always presents challenges, but I don't know. I like the past couple races. Granted, they've been like super speedway driving. The product has been really good, so I got nothing bad to say about Vegas. I like the track. I think the racing there has always been great. I'm just excited to see what it turns out to be.
Will?
Phone I think this car works really well for these kind of tracks because of the reduced dirty air, so people can race closer for longer. I still think it'll be a fun mile-and-a-half race that doesn't involve restrictor plates.
What about you, Ben?
I'm looking forward to it. My bold prediction is Kyle Busch is going to get his first win there. Fuck you, Kyle Busch. I still hate you.
Tino, what you think, man?
All right, guys. I think Las Vegas is going to be an interesting race. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on the racetrack that maybe even Fox might not be able to cover again. You know,
they'll just zoom in.
I think they'll just
That's
zoom
actually
in.
my official black flag, by the way, Greg. I just had so much fun poking some fun at JP, but that was my major black flag for Atlanta, is just the lack of coverage, because there was a ton of stuff going on at Atlanta that we just did not get to see on TV.
You still awake, JP?
Of course.
Yeah.
Dale Jr. said the same thing.
But just reading a little bit on the Las Vegas odds. You know, you're in Vegas, you got to read the odds. You know, because anyway, they got a 60-1 long shot on Kyle Larson to win. Or I'm sorry, Kyle Larson is a 21-5 favorite. My apologies.
So I should put money on Kyle Larson.
Yeah, so Kyle Larson, I guess, is your money shot for that race.
Money shot. Val Venus.
Yes, sir. And I mean, I just think it's going to be an interesting race, and I look forward to watching it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, based on odds, Tino, since you're looking at that, based on odds, who would you say is the sleeper pick?
Okay, so a sleeper pick. Well,
with Ty Gibbs.
You got Michael McDowell at 100-1. So if you put, obviously that's a crazy pick, but a sleeper pick. Let's see, somebody who can just come out of nowhere and just win the race. Obviously, Kyle Busch. We'll talk about Kyle Busch. Maybe Tyler Reddick in the 45 car. Ty Gibbs.
Why,
I'm not going to say Ty Gibbs. I wouldn't say Ty Gibbs for sure.
What's his anyway?
What's his? Ty Gibbs is 25-1. The lowest being JJ Yelly at 5,000-1.
There's your sleeper pick right there.
5,000-1?
Yeah.
They got Christopher Bell.
5,000-1.
Put a $10 bet on him.
Christopher Bell and William Byron are the lowest odds. Like pretty much like you would win money if they won. But I'm looking forward to the race, man. I'm excited to see him go roll the dice this weekend.
Well, speaking of odds and rolling the dice, we are going to move into our race picks. Now, with this being Vegas, we decided to do something a little bit different this week. Mr. Jamie has created a wheel with all the drivers' numbers on it, and each person, they will get a spin, and whatever number that wheel lands on, that is their pick. Now, we did have some spins earlier today. I can say that Ryan won with Atlanta with his Ryan Blaney pick this past weekend. So he is the current points leader right now, but Ben is not too far behind. But Ryan had his spin already, and he spun Christopher Bell. My buddy Brandon spun Corey LaJoy. And my wife Ashley spun Denny Hamlin. So, Jamie, whenever you are ready, let's get a spin for Ben.
Please
All right,
no
here we go.
Please no Burton. That's all I ask.
Burton. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
You got Martin Truex Jr.
Nice.
He better get top 10.
Hey.
MTJ.
It almost looked like you were getting Harrison Burton.
All right.
It almost.
Miracle order.
Now, let's get a spin for me.
Bloop.
Drum roll,
Survey
please.
says
Eric Jones.
Eric Jones.
Ooh. Okay.
So if Will gets Bubba Wallace, then it's rigged. No, I'm
All right.
kidding.
Mr. Denny Rumble, who is not here tonight.
Boop.
If it lands
He's
on
gonna
the
get
same
Bubba.
driver, you have
He's
to
gonna
spin
get
it
Bubba.
again.
Ooh, he got Kyle Larson.
Oh, he's gonna be happy with that pick.
He's gonna fucking win.
All right. Now let's go to Will. Bubba Wallace.
Logano.
The number 16.
Is that AJ?
Derek Kraus.
Allmendinger?
I got Derek Kraus, baby.
Is that AJ Allmendinger, Jamie?
No, it's Derek Kraus.
I was thinking Allmendinger, but
Derek Kraus.
Oh, I guess Allmendinger's in there.
is Kraus is like mid, right?
I don't
guess.
fucking know. I don't know who he is.
It's his debut, I think, this weekend.
It's his debut, so he's gonna DNF.
So it really is there. Oh, okay.
Wow.
I thought you guys were like messing.
No.
All right, Jamie, spin for yourself, sir.
Boop.
Oh, Keselowski. I'm just kidding. You got Cindric.
Austin
Cindric.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right, Tyler.
Oh, can't do that one
Gone.
because that's already been picked.
Oh, yep.
There should be a way where it should eliminate the numbers.
If I was doing it on my phone, I would be able to eliminate them, but I did this way just so everyone could look. Oh, Ty Gibbs.
That's not bad.
What exactly are they being done if not your phone?
Well, I'm using my phone for the Discord, and I can't share
All
a
right.
screen.
All right, Brett is next.
Oh, he can't get Jones. He's so sad.
Bailey.
Who was it?
JJ Yaley in the 44.
Mr. Plus 5,000.
Yes, sir.
All right, and
That's
the
a lot of
last
money.
spin is for JP.
I'll give it to my good.
I'm gonna give you the 7.
Let's give Haley Deegan. Haley Deegan.
Well, don't get too excited because you can't get Kyle Larson.
Nemechek.
Picked.
And that's who he picked originally before we decided to do this idea.
Oh, it's
Dylan.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon.
That's not good either. He's not doing hot.
This should be interesting this weekend.
All right, let's just throw one in there for our guest for this week, Valentino
Yeah,
Fazio.
let's throw in one for Tino.
Let's throw one time for him.
He can keep doing it if he wants, and we can just add him on. Maybe he can catch up. Never know.
Yeah.
The
Who's
38.
that? Is that
Toddy G.
Todd?
Todd Gilliland. Running with front row.
That's the tallest. That's the tallest driver in NASCAR. Easy. He is the tallest driver in NASCAR.
Welcome back.
All right.
What if we just
got
turned
our
the phone
picks
around and it
now.
wasn't Jamie? It was like somebody we didn't even know.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been a great episode tonight. Tino, want to thank you guys. Thank you for coming in. As always, I want to thank our sponsors, Fanatics, Bulletproof Coffee, W Energy, Dr. Squatch, Duke Cannon. You guys are awesome. Forget to click on the links in our podcast description to get products and all that good stuff. But gentlemen,
Yep, don't forget Alkali Project, Blood World. You can listen to it on any aspect that you can listen to music. Spotify, iTunes, Pandora. You can find them everywhere.
Fucking buy these, please. They've invaded my house.
You gotta get a pest.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys, talking about some what's going on with NASCAR, and I hope I can come back sometime soon.
You are welcome back anytime, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. I
you
appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep. But gentlemen, look forward to Las Vegas this weekend and see who rolls the dice. And good night, and we will see you guys next Wednesday.
All right. See you guys.
Deuces.
See you later. Deuces.